Mala Sudam Kumbha Vibhudra Vidyavirajata Karavari Jata Apara Karunde Sudamburashim Sri Sharadamba Pranatosmityam. Seeking the benediction of Jagannatha Sharda Parmeshwari, Vagdevi Saraswathi, that repository of all that is culture, knowledge, tradition, wisdom, art and learning and fine art, I bow to her as I commence my address today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this pleasant function organized this evening by the South Indian Education Society SIES Alumnite 2026. For the first time ever in the 9-decade-long history of this institution, the Society has organized an alumni reunion across all the institutions. Every institution has its own reconnect with its alumni through such reunions occasioned every year by students passing out of the portals of this institution, celebrating their decennial, their silver jubilee, their ruby jubilee, coral jubilee, golden jubilee and even diamond jubilee since their passing out from their institutions. The core purpose of this Alumnite is not only to revive and rebond with the alumni, but also bring to fore the fact that destiny has brought all of us together through our alma mater to be lifelong friends. And more than that, we are not just limited to being alumni of the institutions from where we are passed out. We are part of the larger SIES family. We have carried the legacy of SIES into our careers, professional ecosystems, into our communities and families. Today it's more than a reunion. It's a celebration of what we were. I think some noise is there. Their mobile kuch nahi hai baba. It's a celebration of where we were, where we are, and where we shall move, of course, ascendancy in the distant future. It's a bridge that connects the past with future. More than anything, it's a reminder of the fact, no matter whatever lifestyle changes would have taken place since we had passed out of the portals of the institution, to a point that we cannot be identified, recognized by our own benchmates and classmates. And no matter whatever position in life or power authority that we wield today, we can never erase from our minds and also from our personality that unique identity, that lifelong identification called as SIES alumnus. The word alumni and alumnus are derived from the Latin verb alare, which means to foster a child, to feed and to nourish. An alma mater is therefore an institution that nourishes the young ones and feeds them with knowledge. It is this wide import of the word alma mater that brings out the glory, the greatness of the connect between the institution and its students, both past and present. Whatever we are today is an outcome of our own efforts, sacrifice, perseverance, and perspiration. But there is something beyond that, that invisible hand, that hand of love and affection that tended us in the formative years when we got into schools and early parts of the colleges, that guided us during that period, infused into us those values and character, that man-making character formation, assimilation of ideas, ingrained into us all that nobility and the passion to excel and the burning desire to succeed in life. This role of our teachers also has a contributory and a catalytic influence on whatever we are today. It is this relationship between the alumni and the institution that we are celebrating today. Any excuse for celebration is fine. Celebrations are of two types, of thanksgiving to the divine and to keep the past behind, knowing full well that this life is eternal. Friends, life is like a Christmas tree, evergreen and fresh. No amount of snow or storm can weather its petals. so too is the human spirit. Despite the clouds of adversity through which it passes in a person's life sojourn, it always emerges triumphant. By its very nature, human spirit is celebration. But they're not all gatherings in life are celebration. Only when a purpose is attached to that, that celebration becomes sacred, and then the body, mind, and the soul are in sync with each other. This evening, we are experiencing an hybrid of both these contributory factors that give rise to celebration. First and foremost, of course, is thanksgiving to the Divine for having given us this blessed evening. The Upanishad says, Isavasyam idam sarvam yat kanchane jagatyam jagat. Whatever happens, wherever happens, is permeated by the same divine force. It is that blessed force that has facilitated the convergence of all positive forces to descend onto this assembly this evening and give us the benefit of an experience, moments of pride and joy, which we shall cherish for long, long times to come. As an academic institution is a sum total of the ethos of the institution, the vision of its leadership, the razor-sharp intellect of its faculty, the deep and abiding commitment to the students of its staff, the soaring ambitions and dreams of its students, and above all, the largesse and the gratefulness of its alumni. A very strong alumni network is an extended identity of an academic institution. A very rich alumnus base adds to the legacy of the institution and provides the wind beneath the wings of those students aspiring to soar high into the sky to find their place as achievers in the global map. Institutions are known beyond their physical walls, across the 7 continents, by their alumni. Loyalty is a two-way process. It applies equally to alumni relations. Alumni are the goodwill ambassadors of an academic institution, carrying the richness of its contribution, its purpose, its intent, and its sacrifices to the society at large, so that a broader, wider perception of the institution is made to earn the goodwill of the society for the institution itself. We are meeting today in the Nerul campus of our society. This was inaugurated the 16th of June, 1996. 3 decades have rolled by since this campus was created. It is named after the Mahaswami of Kanchi, Puja Sri Chandrasekarendra Saraswathi, the 68th Shankaracharya of the venerated Kamakoti Peetham. He was a spiritual colossal. He was the voice of eternal India. This master of masters was like a lambent light who rekindled the spirit of the nation and brought about a renaissance in many fields of religion, thought, and process. He taught mankind groping in the dark, despite all the strides in science and technology, as to how to journey to a higher destiny. It is 32 years since he has moved from the seen to unseen. We still hear the divinity of his voice and the infinitude of his presence. The SIES College of Management Studies was the first institution to have come up in this campus. And the first academic program that started in this campus was a collaboration with the reputed London School of Economics and Political Science, bringing into India for the first time through SIES, BSc in Economics, BSc in Management, BSc in Public Policy, along with the related diplomas as the educational offering for the first time to the students of this country. From then on, each year, new institutions have been added into this campus. Today, this campus is bursting with seams. Singularly, is contributing to the maximum number of alumni into the already overflowing reservoir of alumni of SIES. And after this campus at SIES here, there are 3 more campuses in Navi Mumbai which have seen the light of the day. This growth and expansion of SIES, which was encapsulated in the documentary, gives a glimpse of all that SIES has been. To those of you who have passed before 1996, You might have only seen the SIES High School, the SIES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, and to very few, the SIES College of Commerce and Economics. You might not have kept pace with the happenings in the institution. I therefore deem it appropriate that I carry a glimpse of all this growth beyond what the documentary has said for your benefit and for countless number of people who are linked to the live transmission of this to know what SIS is today than what it was during their times. There are several anecdotes, experiences, events that cross our mind this evening. There is a gentle hand of that invisible teacher of yesteryears who tended us and cared for us and who have brought us to whatever we are today. It is these teachers and the staff of the institution who are the backbone of our institution. They are the lifeline of our institution. They have stood like a rock behind the institution in its long journey in periods of vicissitudes, turbulences, highs and lows. They have risen to the occasion every time when time demanded of them to do that. They were never clock watches. They never limited their functioning to the terms of engagement, the rules contained in that letter of appointment that engaged them. They went beyond the call of duty. Their association with the students was just not limited to the classrooms where the students studied, into the campus, but much more than that, into the drawing room of the homes of the children. Their connect with the students was no less than that of the biological parents. They were paid a meager salary out of the meager fees that was collected by the society from the students. The fees was always kept low so that the poor and the vulnerable sections of the society were not bolted out of the educational offerings that our society provides. The sixth pay, the seventh pay, and now the eighth pay is on the anvil. They had seen no pay commissions. There were no superannuation benefits, the bouquet of portfolio of benefits that are given to you when you sign off after long and devoted service that shall ensure that the residual journey is maintained with dignity. They have found it extremely difficult to meet their ends, but still they have lived a life of grace and charm, one that is worthy of emulation. Any engagement this evening is incomplete without paying our tributes to these teachers and the staff of these institutions who are behind whatever we are seeing of SIES today. Most of them who are surviving for reasons of geriatry could not be present here today. And most others, the majority of them, have already terminated their life journey and gone to the abode beyond to be in the company of their Creator. I'm sure this evening they will be smiling and will have joy at the happenings in this campus, and they will shed their grace on all of us and all other stakeholders of our society. There was something on the history of the institution that was given. I'll expand it for you. On the 27th of December 1931, as the documentary correctly said, a few of the migrant South Indians assembled in the Indian Gymkhana grounds opposite the SIES High School. The school came much later. The Gymkhana came much before, and they addressed the burning issue of education for the children, and then it was decided to form an association. A resolution was passed, moved by one Mr. Neelakantan and seconded by one Mr. Vaidyanathan, that an association by the name South Indian Education Society be formed. It's a travesty of history, poor documentation, that this society of ours over these 90 years know nothing more of these two gentlemen who gave birth to SIES, except as proposers and seconders of the resolution that gave SIES. We bow our head in reference to these invisible people. We had attempted to find out whether anyone knows anything about them, but we have come to a naught. But then wherever they are ensconced, I am sure our tributes will go to them for all that they have done to sow the seeds for this great institution of ours. On the 21st of April 1932, this association was registered under the Society's Registration Act of 1860, giving it a legal clothing. On the 6th of June 1932, The academic journey began with the primary school with 6 curious kids starting their journey in the primary school in the Shangani garage. What the documentary did not tell you is all the 6 children were children of the founders and members of SIES. Even before they created an institution, they had confidence that they shall create an institution of excellence. Therefore, they risked and staked their children's career into the institution when they knew that all that we had was a rented garage. The seeds that they had sown on that day, little they would have realized, would have sprouted and blossomed over time like the proverbial banyan tree, bringing within its sphere of functioning and influence people of all hues, shades and colors, connected together by a common cord called as service through education. On an occasion like this, there can be no better way to pay tributes to them than to carry the rich tradition that they had set for this institution 9 decades ago. The documentary gave a brief of what SIES is all about. An institution with a living history of 90 years can never be captured in a documentary, much less in an address like this, it can be encompassed. But I can promise you that from now onwards, when we activate the digital media, we shall give snippets of the glorious past of several events that cross my mind today, which should come to the attention of all people who are interested in the SIES. Suffice if I can say 1 or 2 things about those events. When the Institute for Climate Change, Geneva, was given the Nobel Prize for Climate Change in the year 2006, the chairman of the Institute for Climate Change took a color xerox of that Nobel certificate and endorsed it in favor of the South Indian Education Society and said, but for the work that you have done in climate change, from a very small place of a small institution in a small city called as Bombay, he said, we would have not been acknowledged by the world with the Nobel Prize. So these are testimonials that we should cherish, we should be proud of, and carry forward to reach greater heights of glory in the years ahead. Over these 9 decades, the growth has been very slow, painfully slow, because of the belief of the founders of this institution. They never wanted to mortgage for posterity a prefixing and suffixing of the name of South Indian Education Society to any donor. They believed that payment of interest on borrowed funds is a sin. It's a tax on the fees to the student community, and they should confine their growth to whatever resources were at their command. And that's why we grew slowly. But then, ever since the National Education Policy of 2020 saw the light of the day and it was promulgated, there have been vast changes in the landscape of education in this country. The single purpose of National Education Policy, if it is stated in one sentence, is to make India a preferred destination of choice for all knowledge seekers across the globe. To revive the greatness of Indian universities of the bygone eras, like what it had said about Nalanda, Takshashila, Patliputra, where people from across Southeast Asia, when there was no transport system, when there were no roads, they had come to study the 64 arts in those 3 universities. It is reviving the glory of the university system that is part of the objectives of the National Education Policy. But the principal change that the National Education Policy is bringing out, thanks to the pandemic that afflicted every human activity and derailed every human endeavor, is that technology has become part and parcel of the educational delivery process. Today, you cannot separate technology from education. Education no longer is from brick, mortar and clay classrooms. At the click of a mouse, you can reach out the best of teachers in the world on the best of subjects which you would like to have at a fraction of the cost. that you could listen to him and understand your subject. So vast changes are taking place, and if we do not keep pace, all the growth of these 9 decades would be wasted, and we will be made to stand where we are. Technology, my dear friends, is cost intensive. The rate of obsolescence is very high. Large infusion of funds are required to support educational delivery systems through softwares and application technologies. And this is the time for the alumni of the institutions, whom nothing was asked for in the last 94 years, to contribute to the technological evolution of our educational system so that we can meet the growing demands and aspirations of the student community. This is the time for the Guru Dakshina, much more than the monetary contributions, which of course are relevant. What is more relevant is to share your core competence, the experiences that you all have gained over time in whatever fields of pursuit you have been, the high degree of networking that you can bring forth thanks to the exalted positions that you all occupy. And more importantly, mentor the young ones who are now waiting for mentors to take them to levels that you all have achieved in this long journey of yours. And that will indeed make a difference. We applied to the University Grants Commission, the custodian of higher education in this country, for SIES University. By the fall of August this year, academic year 2026-27, SIES University shall see the light of the day. Now is the time for us to lay the foundation for the university, no less than the foundation that my founding fathers had done 94 years ago, deep, strong, on which several opportunities have come, and each one has been delivering excellence in the chosen pursuit, the fields of study of specialization that they are engaged in. Now is the time for us to evolve the SIES University. The university system gives us the autonomy for devising the syllabus, the content of what we want to teach the children, the contours of education, the delivery systems, the examination systems, the entry and exit for a student. It can be a lifelong learning process in an university. But the fact that most of our institutions, when they were affiliated to the University of Mumbai, have acquitted themselves extremely well, and they are today the admiration of the student community. If by any chance the quantity and the quality of our efforts in this field of high endeavor were to suffer when the SIES University functions, it shall be the greatest disservice that we shall ever do to the student community. Therefore, this cannot be a Me Too university. It cannot be an also-ran university. Mushrooming of universities are coming up in the landscape of education of the country, several of them with political patronage, with no serious educational visions. But in the committee of such universities, it is very easy for us to shine brightly if we set the foundation correctly. It is our desire that the SIES University should be run, managed, guided, mentored, and taken ahead by the alumni of the SIES institutions. Little will you know that till 1990, the highest body of SIES, the governing council, the managing council society, could have only past students as members of the managing council. Then we created space for experts to come in and give a whiff of fresh air so that blind spots do not come to us. Even today, 75% of the managing council comprises of people who have partaken the benefits of education in any one of the institutions of SIES. So when I say that we are trying to have an SIES university to be run by the alumni, I am not tracking a new path. I am just saying that we will continue what we have done till 1990. One of the conditionalities for the notification of an university is the creation of a corpus fund of rupees 25 crores to be used exclusively for the growth and development of the university. And it is my belief and desire that the entire corpus should come from people who are going to run that university, from the alumni of this great institution of ours. Not just contribute by themselves, network with other alumni who are not present over here today, not even connected to our portals, and all those who are interested in the cause of education, to swell the coffers of this endowment fund far more than 25 crores, so that one of the most outstanding institutions of excellence under the university umbrella can be created. You saw a glimpse of what we want to do in the coming 3-4 years. The institutions on AI, which we will start immediately, the verticals that we have identified for AI will open a new chapter as far as the visible face of SIES is concerned. Very few of you know that it is the institutional social responsibility of SIES which drives SIES. Countless number of schools in rural areas, Jilla Parishad schools, have all been renovated, basic education funded and given by the South Indian Education Society. The size and the scale of our investment for the good of countrymen in rural areas is to be seen, to be believed. The one in Shapur, where Adivasi children, 400 girls are provided full-scale hostel accommodation and education, and another 600 Adivasi boys partake the education as day scholars in an institution not far from here. Countless number of army schools across Maharashtra, Gujarat and Goa, and even beyond into the border areas like Doklam or Leh, Ladakh, have all been renovated and made fit for the army to run those schools, either for their children or as a goodwill for the community around, so that they would not disturb the functioning of the Indian Army. This social responsibility shall continue to be the driving force of SIES, of taking education beyond the classrooms for the life situations in the ground reality of the world. So, when we think of starting the SIES University, there is need for us to bring the alumni together. For us to bring all of the teachers and others together. And now you can understand why after 94 years of wasted efforts, we have first thought of bringing you all together, not just with the institution to which you belong, which of course has been doing every year, to bring the entire alumni of SIES, running into several lakhs of people. And I can tell you with confidence that the maximum number of alumni in the United States of America would come from this institution. I can count to 10,000 for you without getting into the details. So this Alumnite is unifying all of them to drive SIES forward in the years ahead. On the 15th of August 2008, we celebrated the Platinum Jubilee of our society, the Amrit Mahotsav. 75 alumni of exceptional merit and outstanding achievements were honored at this very platform at the hands of Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. But that was one of a sort. One for the occasion, one for that milestone. But today, we are taking a major step forward in institutionalizing a platform for celebrating the excellence of our alumni. With the setting up of the SIES Distinguished Alumnus Award, the SIES Bhushan Award. In a reservoir which is overflowing, an ocean full of pearls, to think of only Navaratnas, 9 amongst them, is a challenge by itself. This evening, we have 9 such stars who are being decorated. But then this is the beginning of a journey. Each year, in the last quarter of the academic year, we shall have Alumnite of that year, where a minimum of 9 SIS stars will be decorated with the same honors. To most of you who would have felt, oh, that was missing, this was missing. Nothing will be missing. And each one of them will be brought onto this platform. They have kept not only themselves proud, their nation proud, their families proud, but kept the SIES flag flying high at all times. These 9 did not hanker for any awards. They did not chase glory. And in American parlance, they did not lobby for these awards. It has come to them on the sheer merit of their accomplishments. It is one thing to deserve an honor and not have it. And the other thing is to have it and not deserve it. Dignity lies not in possessing an honor, but deserving an honor, said Mark Twain. Honor and shame from no condition arise. Act well your part. Therein the honor lies, said Pope John Paul VI. Each one of them have acted their part very well. That this evening we shall rejoice, celebrating their achievements and decorating them so that the children of our institutions, they would be the eternal source of inspiration, levels to which they themselves can reach if they were to put in those efforts that these stars have put in. We are beholden to all the 9 of them, 2 of them digitally connected, 6 of them physically present, and 1 who could not be present but still made it a point that her husband, 80 years old, who is also an alumnus of SIES, will come all the way from Chennai to share the joy of the alumni being decorated with this honor. Scriptures can be rewritten. Time will do that. History for SIES is creating something new, something original, not the art of concealing the origin and claiming originality. It is sincere, serious efforts to foster research into those areas of human endeavors that shall make life easier. Nobility of life itself shall be sharpened at the altar of the educational institutions by the thinking process of the students and the teaching community. That is the difference that we are trying to make, which we shall continue to make in the years ahead. And I shall quote one more example for you. When the corona pandemic came, the Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation was in a tizzy. The rate of affliction of corona was very high in this area. They wanted to create hospitals overnight. Creating hospitals overnight is not possible. One that they could not even achieve was the beds. From where do you get so many beds for so many hospitals? The SIS school of packaging created for them the durable, those parts out of 5-ply graduated, which was far more stronger than the tensile strength of steel or iron, and created overnight the first hospital in Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation. In a matter of 2 to 3 days, 5 lakh masks were generated through our social responsibility, through the women empowerment program that we do, to be given to everyone on the streets during that pandemic. This is how education intertwines with this. Therefore, we shall blaze a new trail. We shall seek a new path. Others can borrow a leaf from us and join us in this path. Our compass is good for a long haul, as I said in the documentary. Good for all ages, good for all seasons, good for all those who want to contribute to the greatness of this land, stamp infinity on the thought and process of this land, and add to the reservoir of goodness of this ancient civilization of ours, and singular factor through which this can be achieved easily compared to any other medium that governments of the day can apply is empowerment, enlightenment, enrichment, elevation through education. And that is the purpose of what we are in today. Therefore, 94 years till yesterday and many more years to go. In about 5 years from now, we shall be recreating all those foundational activities that the documentary spoke about and which I also told. And we shall celebrate the year 2031-32 as the centenary year of the South Indian Education Society and the SIES High School. What is there in 100 years? It's an influx of time, it's a certainty which every being, human or otherwise, if longevity is there, you can reach. Elephants reach. People who cross 100 can reach. But institutions are structured for perpetuity. We live in deeds and not in years. One crowded hour of glory is far more worth than a listless century without mention. If we have to graduate this centenary celebrations of SIES into a century of academic bliss, then we have to redouble our efforts and achieve far more than what we have achieved over the last 94 years in these coming 6 years. So long as we do not lose sight of all these fundamental principles which are the soul of our society, then we can lay claim, as I said there, to a future as exciting and brilliant as our past. In reaching this century of academic bliss, nobody else can do it better than the alumni of our institutions who had experienced that bliss in the institutions where they were taught. So it is their responsibility to take it to the next generation of SIES. As I come to the end of my address this evening, long as it were, may the good Lord shed His grace on all of us. May He enable us to achieve the purposes of our life. Janma Safalyam. This birth should be successful for us. Otherwise, animals also live. Animals also have been given birth. So, Janma Safalyam is what is the grace that we need from Him. May He bless us further so that we can incorporate into our lives, through passage of time, in this eternal quest, in this pilgrimage of perfection, a little of the selflessness, sacrifice and seva that is the hallmark of the life of our teachers and our staff, and then make our lives sublime. Thank you and God bless.